Ready to rock and roll? Is that action? All right. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely. Go. Go.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Will with
Go.
This is a real estate podcast, but we talk about leadership, personal growth, and becoming the best version of yourself. Leadership, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Growth, best version of yourself.
Go.
So this is a real estate podcast. Good morning, Impact Agent Nation. This is your host, Jason Will. Thank you for joining me. I got a special episode for you. I was recently invited by Lou Vickery to participate in a television show for a network you guys have probably never heard of. It's Blue TV. It's a free channel if you're a Roku subscriber. Hoping to bring some awareness to the channel because it's a channel dedicated to entrepreneurship, which you guys should know is near and dear to my heart. And Lou's show, Uptalk, on the channel is all about people that are entrepreneurs but are making a positive impact in the world. So it just really goes hand in hand with my show here. And, since there are probably not too many people are going to view the show, at least at first on Blue TV, I thought, what better place to bring it than to my podcast audience. This is our first episode that we filmed for Blue TV, and we had a really interesting guest. It's Dr. Gaylon McCollough. He began his collegiate career as a football player under Coach Bear Bryant, later became Coach Bear Bryant's personal physician, which is pretty cool. He is a world-renowned plastic surgeon and has written nearly 20 books. So if that doesn't make you feel bad about your resume, I don't know what will. But Dr. Gaylon McCollough shares some really great nuggets in this interview, and I hope you enjoy it. I plan on sharing more of these episodes with my audience because we're just going to have some really interesting guests on that are sharing some really positive, uplifting, tactical, and just amazing advice I think we can all benefit from. So I hope you enjoy it. Looking forward to see your feedback. If you like it, let us know. Be sure to rate us on iTunes. And remember this, your income is a direct reflection of your impact.
And now to our hosts, Lou Vickery and Jason Will.
Thank you very much, Jacob, for that great introduction, and welcome to Uptalk. I'm Lou Vickery, your host, and we're excited that you're with us. Let me introduce my co-host. Jason Will, how are you?
Sir, I'm glad to be here.
We're glad you are here. I tell you, we're going to have some fun with this.
I hope so. I'm already having a good time.
Yeah, and have some fun. We're going to focus on opportunities to help people we feel like make some very decisive choices about where they're headed, and as we mentioned in the prologue there, to also have an opportunity if they're in the right place, let's just expand what they're doing. If they're not, they can expand into something else and do it in a big way.
For me, I feel like I'm always on a personal development journey, and yet I'm constantly in need of reminders to keep me on that path.
Right.
And even in the development of this show and the pilots we've done, the few guests that we've had on, I've learned something new from every show we've done, and I know that's going to continue. It's an investment that's going to be made in me just by sitting here and listening to you and interview great folks.
Well, our first guest today is going to be Dr. Gaylon McCollough, a renowned plastic surgeon, former All-American football player at the University of Alabama under Coach Paul Bear Bryant, and also a renowned author. He is in 18 or 19 books, and it's just hard to keep up because every time I turn around, he's got a new one coming. We're going to have an opportunity to talk with Dr. McCullough shortly, and we look forward to that.
A man with his resume, it should be like, on a stone tablet. He's just so accomplished. So, yeah.
That's good. We're excited to have with us today Dr. Gaylon McCollough. Dr. McCullough is a renowned plastic surgeon, former football player at the University of Alabama under Coach Paul Bear Bryant, and also a renowned author. I like that word renowned. That sounds good. Does that sound good enough to you?
Yeah, I like it too. Would you say it again for me, please?
Yeah, well, that's always good. Well, we are excited to have you. It's a real pleasure. You and I have had the opportunity to share some time together with a radio show, but our first opportunity, and we with the TV, and as I found out, I know I had a perfect face for radio. I'm not so sure I do the.
Yeah, but I can do some things for that.
I know that, and that's the reason I bring it up. But we're excited to have you. I want to talk today with you about your latest book. The most recent book is Victory in the Game of Life. We have a copy of it here displayed. What prompted it? It's really a memoir, isn't it? It's about you and the things that you've been able to experience in your life. Share with us a little bit about what prompted you to do.
Lou, I got the idea to write the book on the day that I received the Paul W. Bryant Alumni Athlete Award that's given each year by the National Alumni Association of the University of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And as the photograph on the cover shows, I was standing at midfield holding that trophy in my hand, and I looked up at the 100,000 people in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'd been there many times. I'd been there as a high school student, played in the high school all-star game. I'd played football there at Alabama and been there many times, but this time it was to receive an award that really meant a lot to me. Right. And as I was standing there, I thought about all the people that were responsible for my having won that award and being in that place. So I wanted to pay tribute to them. And the book is really a tribute to the people responsible for whatever successes that I've enjoyed. And I just wanted to do it as a labor of love.
And you actually, when you started, I'm not so sure you started it just out to be a memoir, right? You had some other thoughts and ideas about how you were approaching it.
As you know, a book evolves.
Yes.
A lot of times when you think that you're writing chapter one might end up being chapter 5, and you don't write chapter 1 until the very end.
Right.
So, yes, all I knew is that my objective was to pay tribute to those people. I go all the way back to my parents at Enterprise and Enterprise High School, my coaches, my teachers, and then, of course, Coach Bryant, and then my mentors in facial plastic surgery, which is my specialty, and through medical school, and those individuals who helped me get started in my professional career.
Before we continue along this line, I want to talk a good bit about the book and what prompted it and some lessons you learned from Coach Bryant. But tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, my dad was a plumber by trade.
Yeah.
He had a little plumbing shop, and my mother was his bookkeeper and secretary, and I'm an only child, and so I spent a lot of time in that shop.
I bet.
I would clean up around the shop, and I'd get a dime for doing that. And the picture show, we didn't call them movie theaters in those days. The picture show
right,
was just right around the corner, and so I'd get a chance to go to the picture show in the afternoons. And so I grew up in a lower middle class family, and my parents both had 8th grade educations in a one-room schoolhouse, but they wanted me to have the education that they said they never had the opportunity to have. And so they encouraged me, and I never thought I was going to be an athlete. I was a little fat kid growing up and was not very nimble at foot. I couldn't even spell the word speed, much less demonstrate it.
When I was playing baseball, we'd call a guy like that fire hydrant. He ran hard all in one spot.
Well, I was a little short, fat fire hydrant then. And so I actually never thought I was going to be an athlete, and I learned to play the trumpet and played in the band.
Right.
And then I decided to lose the weight. I lost the weight, grew up a little taller, had a coach that actually showed me how to run. And so I actually went from being a trumpet player to the starting quarterback on the high school football team. Yeah.
That's great. And then now your wife, Susan, you guys have been married for a few years anyway, right?
Oh, 54.
54
years, yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. You have a couple children and 4 grandchildren?
That's correct.
There you go. Well, that's neat enough. Let's go back to your days at the University of Alabama, playing under Coach Paul Bear Bryant, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and certainly had a lot of success there. But you were in the earlier days when they were really starting to establish a legacy there.
Yes, Coach Bryant came to the University of Alabama in the spring of 1957, and I came on campus in 1961. And so they had just, we won the national championship my freshman year.
Right.
But freshmen couldn't participate, so I didn't get my national championship ring. But then in 1964, we did win the championship. And we knew that we were in the presence of greatness, is the best way I know how to describe it. But we really, I don't think, can appreciate at 18 or 19, 20 years old what you really are getting from that experience.
Right.
And the ring honestly, it means more to me now than it did the day that
Sure.
I first put it on my finger, because now I know what goes into winning championships.
And let's talk a little bit about that. What goes into winning championships? What do you, if you had to pinpoint the one thing that really stood out playing for Coach Bryant, what he emphasized to you, what would it be?
Well, first of all, to win a championship, and a lot of people don't realize this, something good has to happen to you and something bad has to happen to somebody else for you to win a championship.
That's right.
And that happened that year. We were ranked number 2, and Notre Dame was ranked number 1. And we had already played Auburn on Thanksgiving Day, which was on Thursday, and Notre Dame and Southern Cal were playing on Saturday. And Southern Cal scored a touchdown with 4th and goal on the last play of the game to beat Notre Dame. And that moved us up to number 1, and we won the championship. So, but we lost the championship in a very similar situation in 1962 by 1 point. So that's what I'm saying. Something good's got to happen to you, and something bad has to happen to somebody else.
Was 62 the play with Namath and Texas?
No, that was 64.
64.
That was 64. We'll talk about that, because that's the greatest lesson that I learned from Coach
Let's talk a little bit about
Bryant.
it now. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, and I'll let you set the stage for
Well,
us.
we had actually won the national championship prior to the bowl game. In those days, they awarded the championship before the bowl games, not like they do now. So we'd won it, and we went down to play Texas, who had a great football team in the Orange Bowl. And Namath was hurt. Namath didn't play very much at all in the first half. I don't think he even came into the game in the first half. We were down by 10 points. He came into at halftime, and we came back, and we were on the winning drive at the end of the game. And we had the ball 4th and goal on the 2-yard line with about a minute and a half left to go. And no big deal. Our group was called the Cardiac Kids, because we generally won most of our games and late in the game.
Right. Uh-huh.
And so he called a quarterback sneak, and right behind me, and we scored the touchdown. And we jumped up and started celebrating. And one official called it a touchdown, and the other came in, and they were debating it. And he said, no, I took the ball away from him. He was in the end zone this far. And then the other official came and grabbed the ball away from him, motioned first down Texas, and overruled the touchdown. We went to the sidelines, and as we went to the sidelines, somebody behind me on the team said, Coach, we scored. And with that, Coach Bryant took a little step back and looked at us, and every one of us turned toward him. And he said these words: if he'd have walked in, there'd have been no question about it. So he threw it right back at us.
Yeah.
And on the last play that I ever played for the University of Alabama, I learned a lesson of a lifetime. And that lesson is this: if you want to accomplish something in life, you cannot do just enough to get the job done. You have to go above and beyond. And here's the lesson: leave no room for doubt. And that lesson drives me every day.
How about that?
Every day. Every time I go to work at my clinic, everything I do, leave no room for doubt.
That is great stuff. Our special guest, Dr. Gaylon McCollough, renowned plastic surgeon, author, former football player. We've been talking a little football at the University of Alabama. Well, after you graduated, you had a little touch of pro football, but then you made the move to a decision that you want to be a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Well, actually,
about that.
I played a year of professional football while I was in medical school.
Oh, okay.
I was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and had a chance to go directly to the NFL. And for a lot of reasons that I won't go into here, and Coach Bryant's advice, I did not go to play professional football. So I went straight to med school. In my freshman year, my junior year in medical school, had an opportunity to play with the farm team of the Atlanta Falcons. Mm-hmm. And this was the only time in history that the NFL actually did have a farm system like baseball does.
Right.
And the Falcons had a farm system team in Huntsville, Alabama. And so I played offensive center on that team and made the all-pro team. But I was in medical school, and we had a plastic surgeon come and lecture to our class. I almost became an architect rather than a doctor. Oh. And when I saw the before and after pictures, I looked upon the screen and I said, that's architectural medicine. So at that point, I knew I was going to be a facial plastic surgeon, and I've never veered from that.
And how many years now?
I'm entering my 46th year of practice.
46 years.
Right now. Love it, and I hope I have.
Still real active in it.
Oh, still every day. I hope I have at least another 10.
That's great stuff. The big thing is having that steady hand, isn't it, huh?
Oh, yeah. But, people often ask me, when am I going to retire? And my answer is when I'm no longer competent. I'll know when it's time for me to hang it up. But right now, I'm having the time of my life, enjoy what I do, love helping people look better, feel better, and in some cases, live longer.
That is great. Now, you've written numerous books, but what got you involved in writing? Where did that passion come from?
Well, it's a little bit of a story. It goes back to one of the people I talk about in the book, my high school, my 11th grade English teacher.
All right.
We thought we were being terribly mistreated because he required that we write 2 composition themes every week. So I was involved in sports and student government, a lot of other things. And so one night I hurriedly wrote a theme and turned it in the next day. And then the following day I got my grade back, had a big C+ on the top of the page. And then I looked over at my buddy sitting across the aisle from me, and he had an A on his. I said, Bob, let me see your paper. So he handed me his paper, and I read it very quickly and handed it back to him. After class, I went up to my teacher. I said, Mr. Kelly, you gave me a C on my paper. He said, yeah. And I said, you gave Bob an A. He said, yeah. I said, my paper is better than Bob's. He said, oh, no doubt. And I said, well, how come I got a C? And he said, you give me 75% of your ability, I'll give you 75% of your grade.
Oh.
He changed my whole attitude toward writing at that point.
I bet.
And I actually contributed him and dedicated my first book to that English teacher.
How about that?
He turned me on to something that really has become a passion. And as you know, I've written 18 books, and number 19 is already in print,
right,
or in getting printed. And number 20, the manuscript's already developed. So as long as my computer and fingers hold out, I'm going to continue to be writing. I love what I do.
That is great stuff. If you had to pinpoint one thing you would leave with our audience about what it takes to be successful this day and age, what would that be?
I think that, number one, you have to study smart, you have to work hard, you have to reach high, have expectations, and you have to constantly stay abreast of what's going on in the world around you. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to adapt. And this was one of Coach Bryant's secrets. He coached a long time.
That's right.
And he coached through a lot of different eras and fads and whatnot. But he was willing to change when change was needed, but he did not change for the sake of change. And I think one thing that I've learned is there's a big difference between change and progress. Change is not necessarily progress. Sometimes right. When you change, you go backward.
Right.
So I would say that the key is know what your limitations are, identify what your talents are, and then develop those talents to the best of your ability, and then work hard every day and be consistent, and then evaluate what you've done, and then make the changes you need to in order to get better. If you try to get better, Coach Bryant used to say this, just get a little bit better every day. If you get just a little bit better every day, then everything's going to be all right.
One of the things I have in one of my books is a poem that he carried around in his wallet, supposedly about every new day. Yep. Every day is a new day.
Yep. Yeah, it's a prayer.
That's right.
It's a prayer.
It's a prayer.
Yep. I've got one, and I've got it in my pocket too.
Well, that's
a great lesson.
And it sure is. You don't know how much we appreciate you coming, being with us.
Well, Lou, I'm honored to be on your first show.
Yeah, that's right. Right out of the box.
I wish you and everyone else just great success with this. I think it's a great idea, and say hello to all those people out there, and I hope you'll have me back at some point.
Well, you know what? I was going to tell you, we're going to definitely do that. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Gaylon McCollough.
My pleasure.
Oh man, that was just one super interview with Dr. McCullough. What do you think? Huh?
I think you guys could have talked all day. I mean, it was to try to take all that experience and knowledge and cram it into 15 minutes. You did a good job, though, but it was difficult.
Yeah, I guarantee you. I mean, the man has had quite a track record.
Oh,
when goodness. I say a renowned plastic surgeon, I mean worldwide.
Right.
He has clients from all over the globe.
It's an amazing career.
Yes.
Amazing.
It was a great choice, I think, for our first guest, and we look forward to having him back sometime.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We'll talk some wellness with him.
Yes, I'd love that. I mean, it's such a wide spectrum from football to, a world-renowned plastic surgeon. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
That's true.
And to be on this, he says he's got 19 published books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the number 20 is in the works.
And plus doing all the stuff he does in the daytime. I said, do you ever sleep? He says, not much.
Yeah, he's full of energy.
Doesn't have to, huh? What'd you pick up from it?
Well, I've got a full page of notes here, but I thought it was really interesting that he started off the conversation because you started talking to him about winning. And definitely this is a guy who has spent his whole life winning.
Right.
But he was really quick to point out that kind of stopped you in your tracks there. He's like, well, wait a minute. To win, somebody's got to lose.
That's it.
So it was all about humility. And then he also pointed out, that pendulum swings both ways. And so you may be on the receiving end of victory one day and come up a little short the next. So I thought that was just it's a really kind of set the tone for the kind of man he is. And I thought that was just an interesting response to that question. Especially as we've already pointed out, somebody has so many wins in his life.
Yeah, true. And I remember one conversation we had when he was a guest on one of my radio shows, is that we talked about the fact, I asked him, what real adversity have you had in your life? And he says, Lou, I am probably one of the few that's just been blessed. I can't really pinpoint any major adversity I've had. It's been just a kind of a steady growth process through the years. And, right on from, I also thought it was interesting, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but Coach Bryant told him that he would be better going on to medical school and not trying pro football.
Wow, no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and he mentioned that.
Changed his life.
Yeah, he sure did. And another thing he didn't mention by Coach Bryant was he was Coach Bryant's personal physician, even though he was a facial, surgeon.
Right.
But he was his personal physician. Coach Bryant wouldn't do anything from a medical standpoint until he had an opportunity to visit with Dr. McCullough.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so he was with him, just medically speaking, right up until, he had his heart attack, Coach Bryant did, and passed away.
Well, I did pick up one of the big takeaways that he got from Coach Bryant. The greatest lesson that he said he's ever learned that's helped him, that he's carried with him throughout his entire life, and that was, if you're going to do great things in life, you can't ever do just enough.
He said the term was leave no doubt.
Leave no doubt.
That's right.
So I thought that was something we could all use.
Yes, amen to that. What other pearls of wisdom did you find there?
Well, just one little nugget. I mean, he said the percent of your effort equals the percent of your grade, and you could tack on in life after that. So I thought that was interesting. And then you asked him, what does it take to be successful? And he had several bullet points for those. You want me to go through them all?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So he said, study smart, work hard, reach high in terms of your expectations, be present and aware of your surroundings, and adapt. Be adaptable in every situation.
Yeah, then when you mentioned that about Coach Bryant being very adaptable as a coach, you think about it. He's gone from he went through a running attack when you had the triple option with all the backs in, to having a wide open pro type game. So I mean, a lot of in betweens, I formation. But you just think about the adaptation that you had from an athletic standpoint, and so obviously he's demonstrated that very much in his professional life.
Yeah, and then rounded the interview off with another quote that just kind of grounds us. And that was, really like the secret to a happy life or a fulfilled life is just to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Mm-hmm. If you're a little bit better today than you were yesterday, then everything's going to be all right.
That's right. Keep evolving, right?
Yeah, and I just thought that was so simple and so great.
There you go. Well, we're so excited that you've been with us today. And, we're going to take to visit with Jason. And Jason always has some great insight. He's a renowned trainer, also a great developer of people. And we're going to now get a tip from Mr. Jason Will. Jason?
All right, well, thanks so much, Lou. Right now I want to share with our audience a proven strategy for building a high-performance team. Now, the difference here is that there's a lot of teams out there that are teams in name only. But the goal here, especially with these strategies, is to build a high-performance team. And I've kind of broken these down into 5 steps for our audience, so hopefully I won't go too fast. They can follow along. Step number 1 is very simple, but it's often throws people off, because when you say, I need you to recognize there's an I in team, they go, wait a minute, where is that I in team? Well, the I in team is not in the spelling per se, but it's more in the personal responsibility that a player or a member of a team must accept in order for the team to have a chance to be a high-performance team. So in terms of an I in team, it's all about personal responsibility. Now, step 2 is a nice little segue into that, the power of I am. So there's no greater responsibility than a statement that begins with those 2 powerful words. And I would argue that they're 2 of the most powerful words that anybody can say. It's speaking power over themselves, over their life. So it is a life-giving statement. Anything that starts with I am. And it can really be the game changer, especially for the example that you set for your team. Now, what I'm looking for, especially in the business world, is for my salespeople to have a CEO mindset. And CEO does not stand for Chief Executive Officer. It stands for Chief Example Officer. I know you'll like that, Lou. Chief Example Officer. So a game changer or a Chief Example Officer is the role model, is the best role model they can be for their team. So if we go back up to steps 1 and 2 and start talking about how there's no I in team, if we don't accept personal responsibility for our role, our example on the team, then the team is not going to be a high-performing team, and it's not going to be as successful as it can be. So there is absolutely an I in team. All right, step number 3, I want you to focus on the outcome. I think before a lot of people get started on the path to success, they're not focused on the outcome. They don't know what they really, really want. They don't know what the objective is, what the ultimate goal is. And so in order for you to be successful, you have to be focused on what exactly it is that you want to accomplish. So focus on the outcome. Now, in order to be focused on the outcome, you cannot be focused on your personal agenda. Okay, so it's not about, you got to remove ego from this process. It's not about, your claim to fame. It's about the team. But again, we have to be personally responsible to how we are affecting that team and what we are projecting to the rest of our teammates. So there absolutely is an I in team. Step number 4, I want you to trust the process. Now, in order to trust the process, you've got to be in the moment. Okay, so let's talk about this, Lou. Have you ever climbed a mountain? You have?
Yeah.
Of course he has. All right, so if I have heard that, like Sherpas, if anybody wants to climb Mount Everest, the first thing a Sherpa will tell you to do is don't focus on the mountaintop. You need to focus on the few inches, every little step. The people that focus on the mountaintop, they're likely to have an accident and screw up. So be present in every moment and focus on what is going on right in front of you. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. And step number 5 is one of my favorites because it really centers around mindset. And I really believe that mindset is everything. But it's thrive in the chaos. Now, I'm in the real estate industry, but I believe most sales environments can be highly stressful. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot riding on every sale, especially if you're in an industry like mine where it's 100% commission-based compensation. So I want you to understand that you can absolutely thrive in that chaotic environment, in any chaotic environment, if your mindset is where it needs to be. Now, this is going to be enlightening, I think, for a lot of folks, but I need you to understand there is no such thing as easy street. Okay? And as Dr. McCullough pointed out, you can't do anything halfway. You can't do just enough. Always got to be besting your best in order to thrive in this chaotic arena we call life. So really focus on the mindset of this
one, I think, irrefutable fact is that there is no such thing as easy street. In fact, if you did not choose the tough road, then your life is going to be hard. So I really feel like in order to thrive in the chaos, we have to understand that there are two choices in life. We can either choose to be tough or we can choose to suffer. So it's suffering versus tough. What are you going to choose? If you're taking the easy way out all the time or the easy straight or, just trying to do just as much as you can to get by, your life is going to be about suffering because you will know internally that you're not living up to your true potential, and there will be guilt associated with that and shame and bitterness, and it's just going to eat you up from the inside out. And I think Lou would agree that if we are not growing, any organism that is not growing and evolving, it's dying. All right? So choose the tough road. And choosing the tough road means consistently being comfortable being uncomfortable. Lou, those are my steps, my 5 steps on how to build a high-performance team.
Oh, my goodness. What a day, huh?
I'm exhausted.
And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that you're exhausted. How about that? But that was great stuff on the high-performance team, and I appreciate that.
Oh,
okay?
My pleasure. I borrowed that from other people, so hopefully they won't mind.
What the heck? You know what? If you get it from one, that's plagiarization. If you get it from many, that's research. So.
Yeah, that's heavily researched.
I want to make sure that our audience understands that if they'd like to know a little more about our background, we have a website.
We do. My turn?
A website.
Right.
So
UptalkTV.com.
UptalkTV.com. Well, I think that's great stuff. And we don't want to get away without mentioning about our book, hot off the press. The cover of the book with Jason's beautiful face on it.
Yeah, get as close as you can, Jacob, to my face.
But no, really, we're excited about this book. It's called Motivators for Salespeople Destined for Greatness. And there's some great stuff in there.
It's really practical, and it's a super useful book. I think a salesperson, a manager, anybody that leads a team or a group of people could really use this book to, motivate their people. You could formulate a workshop out of this book. I mean, it is so good.
It is it's motivational, it's inspirational, informative, you name it.
Tactical.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I think it's time for us to kind of wrap it up. We want to thank Jacob Cook. Man, what a job Jacob does in putting all this together for us. And I tell you what, we're just excited as a whole for what's going to happen.
Yeah, super excited.
There you go. All right. Until next time, you keep this in mind. Keep a smile on your face. Keep happiness in your heart. Keep optimism on your tongue. Until we meet again, we thank you for your time this time. And until next time, you have a good time.
I love that.
Thanks for listening to the Impact Agent Podcast. If you liked the show and got something out of it, please like the Impact Agent Podcast on Facebook and rate and review the show on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. This really helps us grow the show and helps other agents find it. Please share it with your friends and coworkers as well. Want us to deliver the show to you via email every week? Then email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com and we'll send you the show every week. Please let us know what you think about the show, what you like, what you don't, or possibly make a suggestion about a topic you want to hear. Email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com or leave us a message on Facebook at Impact Agent Podcast. Until next week, everybody be productive, safe, and happy, and always keep learning. This podcast is produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios in Mobile, Alabama, and is paid for and powered by ImpactAgentUniversity.com.